Dovid Pearlman, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So good to have you. We are here in Nomad Works. Asher, who do we have to thank?
This is a fantastic co-working spot in New York. They have 2 locations. I don't know if it's public, but they're getting a 3rd.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
it's a really awesome space. We work here. It's not WeWork. And yeah, that's
It's
really
even better than we work.
It's pretty much it. Come
Come
check
here.
it out if you're in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come here for all your co-working needs. But enough about Nomad. Dovid, how are you today? How you doing?
Doing great.
What is life like right now? What are you up to? What's new in your life?
Well, I got married 10 months ago.
All right,
Ooh.
congratulations.
God, still Shana Rishona. Just getting to know the Passaic community has been really, really nice.
That's
Everybody is so sweet.
Are you
Um,
from Passaic?
I'm from Staten Island, the forgotten borough
Oh.
of the 5 boroughs.
Rightfully so.
We have a lot of bad rap. It used to be a garbage dump.
It's just you and Pete Davidson, basically.
Yeah. And,
Staten Island's claim to fame
well, there's
is
another.
you two.
Yeah. What's that? Nice. Sal, maybe? Is he from there? From
Impractical
Impractical
Jokers?
Jokers.
I feel like he's from Staten Island. It's just Italians and Jews. That's
awesome.
Staten Island.
So let's get right into it. So, I mean, there's probably many different ways to describe who you are, what you do. I think the best description is you are a Jewish artist, musician, and wedding singer.
That sounds
so
right.
what's like, I mean, I want to kind of get into your whole story, but like, what would you say is something that some people don't know? Like maybe people maybe not even Jewish or like just totally like, what is like something unique to the experience of being a Jewish wedding singer? Something that maybe some people don't like think about or know about.
I would say for anybody listening, Jewish, not Jewish, especially in the non-Jewish community, it's the Jewish music bubble. It's pretty. I would say it's small and crowded. There's a lot of beautifully talented artists in the last few years. What started out back in, the history, I'm obsessed with Jewish music history. What started out as a few select artists in the 60s and 70s, and then even in the 80s, you had like a few new artists crop out. In the 90s, you had some new artists.
And these are Jewish artists?
I'm talking about Jewish artists in the
Okay.
Jewish music
And
scene.
just for like our non-Jewish listeners, in case they don't like know.
and right. And just to give you
All
a
our
sense,
Gentiles, all the non-Jews.
I mean, we're talking like really small numbers here. Like if you sold, I'm talking about selling physical copies of albums. Like that's very like not a thing that,
Right.
people haven't been
Mhm.
buying albums in over 10, 15 years. But if you sold, let's say 10,000 copies, you were a hit. These are very small numbers we're talking
Right.
about here. But because being part of the Jewish community, you're used to being part of a very small, tight-knit community. So if your song is a hit and people know your stuff, like if your song does well, everybody seems to know who you are and they spot you. It's I think a lot easier to make it, so to speak, in the Jewish music scene than in the non-Jewish music scene where you're dealing with the rest of the world. I mean, we're just
Right.
0.2% of the world's population or something like that. So I think what's unique to it is how it, everybody has a place in it, and it's probably in some ways, it's harder now because it's become a very crowded industry.
Right. You think it's
Um,
very competitive, you're saying?
Well, there's a lot of achtas and everybody gets along, but I'm saying that just everybody now, because music production has become so streamlined to your own house,
Mhm.
that everybody can put out a song these days. And I think it's really nice.
Right.
Um,
Can we
yeah.
get into your story? Like, I want to hear, like,
Yeah,
so,
please.
so, I mean, you and I are obviously, for those listening, Dovid and I are very close old friends.
Yeah. 10
so
years?
we met in Miami Boys Choir, which
That's
is
Such old friends.
totally, but yeah, like, what has it been like over like
I've been
close
in
to
a
10
room
years?
with the
I know-
NBC choir member before. 2 at the same time.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah.
It's a lot.
That's a bucket list.
It's pretty wild. So wait,
Yeah.
so how did you get into singing before? Because obviously I'm assuming you were into singing beforehand. So like, how did you
Yeah.
find out that this is something you want to get into?
I'd say family ties. My father was in Miami Boys Choir. His brother was in the Miami Boys Choir. And I have a lot of family history. My grandfather was a chazan. My great-great-grandfather was selling, we have a ticket from a concert he did when he was 13. It
Wow.
was like a cantorial concert in like the early 20s.
You were like born for this.
It definitely runs in my father's side of the family. My mother's side of the family, not as much.
Mhm.
Yeah. And my father was always encouraging me to. I've been singing since. Wow, it's really loud in New York City.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you guys caught that.
We're in
but
the action. Yeah,
we're like on the street here. It's very cool. Yeah, my father had an a cappella group that he started back when he was at in YU with a bunch of college students, and they kept going, and they got him and his friends kind of like aged with the group. They would take their kids with them back when they were younger. I used to go with him to hotels, to Shabbatons. The group was called the Shabbatons.
nice.
Oh,
It's
Why do
funny.
they need to be so cringy? I was in a
Yeah.
choir. You were in the
Beautiful
choir
day.
with me in high
Asher-
school.
Yeah, Loki, Asher, and I were in high
We
school.
were in
You were
choir in high school.
You were in the same high school?
Yeah.
Asher kind of sing. No, I'm just.
I sometimes sing.
Can we hear
but,
something? I'm not gonna put you on the spot.
But the choir group is
Baby
called
shark, doo, doo.
Yerushalayim.
Yeah, it was
like
bad.
Yerushalayim.
Leave it to Jews to make the most
Yerushalayim.
cringy
Interesting.
choir
Mock-up
names.
beats. Like, why do they need to do this?
Right. No, listen, the Shabbatons predated the Maccabeats. It was like the late 90s. Acapella was just becoming a thing.
Right.
Boys to Men was like
Oh,
very
yeah, yeah,
popular.
yeah.
So they
Boyz
did
II
a
Men.
lot of acapella. I love like blues. We could talk about
like
that.
back in the day when it
R&B.
was just Boys to Men and the Shabbatons. Good times.
It was just, yeah. I
Wait,
mean,
so you come from a line of singers.
yeah.
Do your like brothers and sisters have good voices, or it's just you?
I mean, so it's me and 3 younger sisters. I always wondered what it would be like if I had a brother, but it's just like me and my dad have like that special that bond. I think because of that. No, I
By
have.
the way, I
yeah.
also only have 3 sisters, no brothers.
It's interesting. I have
It's
to
a
say.
fun time.
It's a fun time.
Are you
It's-
playing that handshake?
I would say it's nice to see like how they also connect to music in their own way.
Right.
Mhm.
I have a younger sister. I'm going to give her a shout out, Mimi, who is the most talented singer in the family. And I
Really?
think that in the last few years, there's been a real movement in the Jewish music scene for female singers
It's a new thing.
to really have. I mean, if you look at people like Shane D. Plotzker, who are
Yeah.
selling out.
Baruch Jaffe. Baruch
Yeah,
Jaffe,
Bracha
sorry.
Jaffe, Devorah Schwartz.
Yeah.
Have you listened to their music?
On the spot.
I plead the fifth.
So what was it? I mean, I guess I know the answer, but for everyone listening, how would you describe your experience being in Miami Boys Choir?
Wait 1 second. Can we back up? Because I know
Yeah.
both of you guys were in Miami Boys Choir, so it's not a big deal.
Mhm.
But like the whole Miami Boys Choir, kids Jewish choir thing is wild. How did it even start in the first place? Do you audition?
Like the history of you want? Wait, hold on. You want to know the history
most
of like?
people, for some
They came
context,
to our school.
were never in.
Like, I was a
boys
kid.
choir.
My dad
I was
got
a kid listening to Miami Boys Choir and Yeshiva Boys Choir, and I'm like, I want to be in this. How do I do that?
right.
And then meanwhile, like, there's 2 guys that I know.
Just like kind of
there's maybe like 30 guys I know that were in these groups.
they
and
just
like,
figured it out, and you wonder like what did they find out to get in?
Yeah.
My dad got an email. He just got an email. Like a blast email. I think he had a connection with Yerachmiel Begotten because he was in it. His brother, Tzvi Pearlman, was Neshama Shavnali. It was a great,
Amen.
great uncle of mine. It was not a. He was very. It was
Right.
my dad's brother. So maybe he had that connection, but somehow he said, "I got this email. You want to join?" I said, "I'd love to try out." I went with a friend of mine from school. He did not get in. It was a very awkward car ride back.
Ooh.
But
How do auditions go? Is it like
he went to Yerachmiel's house. It was like me and a few guys. He gave us a few songs to kind of come in and sing for him. I prepared 2 Miami Boys Choir songs that I knew. I know someone who got in by, I kid you not, he sang the ABCs.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
And
That's real talent.
yeah,
wait? Which songs did you sing?
I think it was Yala V'Yavo, which my uncle was.
Did we get like a
which
15 second?
one? Which one?
Zichron Mashiach, Ben Dovid Avdecha. Oh, we didn't even
Bum, bum.
plan this.
Yeah.
It's too early to be singing.
Is it?
What time is
Dude,
it?
it's like the afternoon right now.
1:41, but I
You
didn't
just rolled
sleep
out of
last
bed.
night. It
Wait, in the
feels like,
second one?
and the second one, probably Adon Elam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzim
Come on, DJ.
V'yis Nasa V'cheftzoi Kol Azai Melech Shemon Hikra Ba-da-da-dam.
I
But
just don't want to
that
ruin
clicked
it.
in my brain. That literally, like, I didn't even think about it.
Da-da-da-da. Yeah.
That's
Are
wild.
those are Miami songs?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know
I know
that
that.
song?
Yeah, but I didn't think they were Miami
A lot
Boys
of people
Choir.
know, like, oh, yeah, I didn't know Yalvi Yavo is a Miami
no idea.
song. And Hine Matov Umanayim.
Yeah.
They got some real
I
classics.
actually don't know that
And
one.
then what happens? Instantly, they're like,
You have to listen.
"You
to
are
it.
in."
I don't know if he told me. You know what? I think he told us on the spot because, like, my friend found out the hard way. Like,
Right.
we were 8 years old. To get rejected at 8 is
Well, I was 10 when I joined.
Yeah.
You were 8 years old.
I
It's
was
like a ch-
shaking in my boots.
Were
It
you?
was,
Yeah, I was gonna. That's actually. I was gonna ask you
pissing
like,
my pants. It was
what?
scary.
What? Nice. What do you feel
He's
like?
scared even now.
What did you
I
feel like?
shudder to think.
What were you scared? What do you feel like you were scared about? It was just like a lot of like.
It was a lot of, you don't want to be told no. You had a lot riding up to, I mean, I had about a week to think about like just from the moment I found out they're having auditions to practicing for it and watching old Miami videos just to kind of get in the mode.
Mhm.
I don't know what I was thinking at 8 years old. I don't remember. I was a little kid.
Do you remember what you were doing at 8 years old?
Not at all. But I
picking my
imagine this
nose.
of like Hogwarts or like Ender's Game. Like you have all these child prodigies
Yeah.
trying out. It's like you're going to Harvard or something.
At
And
8
then they
years
get
old.
in, and then they're all wearing matching costumes, doing matching dances.
But when
and-
you got in, was it like right? Okay, you're a soloist. You're gonna start doing solos, or like they kind
No.
of. So how does it like? How does it work? Someone comes in.
He eased you in. I mean, your Achmiel would tell you get in, and then you would have your own practices. He wouldn't just throw you in the concert. I remember we were in maybe 3 or 4 songs with the rest of the choir.
Mm.
My first concert I ever did was I got it in November, and we had our own private like sessions, just like me and a few of the new kids had our own practices aside from the rest of the choir who were more seasoned. They knew how to sing harmony right on the spot. I mean, he did that. He actually
And these
had
are
us.
8-year-olds. That's wild.
I know. He expected there was a certain level of, he was very into making sure that you knew you had an ear, a general ear that you wouldn't be thrown off if somebody sang harmony next to you.
Mm.
So I remember he would have us sing harmony next to the person singing melody in their ear. Are you going to get thrown off?
Right.
And generally, if you could carry a tune, you sounded pretty decent. He definitely had his
standards. Yeah.
and I think if I got to give Miami Boys Choir credit. I think that they hold themselves to a high music standard. They don't lip sync, which I think is
Other choirs do. Yeah.
What
I
about
don't wanna throw
the choreography?
I will.
Choreography has never been my thing. I never could dance.
Was it part of the
It was.
audition?
It was never any of their.
No,
any
but
of
I
the
was
things.
particularly bad, and I was let's just say it was a stressful environment because I felt behind everybody else. I really wanted to.
Like stuck in your own head. You're like doing like snapping and moving. And you're like,
Yeah, I mean, I was pushed to the back a lot of times because I just like
It just wasn't working.
It was clear it wasn't working, but he would like. I actually
You
started.
remember
with-
this, V?
Yeah, for sure.
You remember that I was bad at dancing?
That you were bad. I remember I was bad.
I mean, by the time you joined, I was already in it.
I don't
for
think
a
any
little
of us
bit.
were necessarily good, but that wasn't the point of it. I think the point of it was that it was
Choirs
cute.
aren't. Right, choir
Shared
dancing.
great at singing.
drama.
Listen, Yeshiva Boys Choir, they got their dancing down pat. I can, I actually have family ties with them now. My Ellie Gerstner's a cousin
Yeah,
of
yeah.
mine.
Mm.
Yeah, Miami dancing is when my first concert came around, I didn't have any solos. And then mid-concert, I was pulled up and he just motioned at me and said, there was just like a break and he's like, you
It wasn't planned. You're saying.
sing.
How many
2,000
people were there?
people.
2,000
I was
people.
no
How old?
preparation. I was probably just turned 9. And
Wow.
there's a video of it. It's just like I kind of freeze in the moment.
Like you
people-
weren't sure. Like, did he pick me or someone else? And like it's awkward.
Yeah, and am I gonna remember the lyrics in the moment? Even though, of course, I know the lyrics, but
You have to find that video.
Do you look back at
it's out
do you,
there.
do you look back and think of any like times that you messed up?
Sure. There's
What
a
were
song
some-
that the Yasis Alayach is a song that we'd sing, and I think instead of going Yasis Alayach, I just went na na na. Da, da, da. You kind of just keep going, and I just did it without the lyrics.
But
and
you have perfect pitch, right?
I do have
So
perfect
that-
pitch. Yeah.
Your baseline for how bad it can be is kind of like
It's
way
gonna
better
be
than
on
everyone
key.
else.
I mean, I've done a chuppah before with another singer who I will not mention, and he was also in the Miami Boys Choir. You could use your inference skills to figure out, okay, which singers were in Miami Boys Choir and are singers now. And he didn't remember the chorus to a high part, and just like a pro, I learned from
Whoa,
him.
He didn't remember.
He just made up a high part that kind of fit, and that if you don't know the song, then you'll be like, yeah, that's the high part.
Right, exactly.
Wait. Did you ever not like? Did you ever not? Did you ever not get a solo because you couldn't dance?
No, I've gotten a solo once. I remember I auditioned for. Sometimes he would have mini auditions for solos, and I had like strep throat that day, and I didn't get them. Like, if I was feeling good, I could have gotten it, but it was okay. David Sharondoff got the solo. I'll give him a shout out. He's a good guy.
If you can package your whole experience into like one idea, like if wrap it in a bow, how would you tell someone how your experience was in the
Wrap it
choir?
a bow.
It
Oh.
was thrilling. It was at times stressful. I grew up in the choir, from 8 years old to about 14. So that was where a lot of my friends were. Although
me
you're
too.
pretty much the only friend I'm. That's not true. That
We're still in
Of-
touch with some people. Yeah.
there's a few guys I'm in touch with. Tzvi probably the most, but yeah, it was traveling the world, getting to go to places I'd
The
never.
world?
We've been to. I mean, Miami Boys Choir has got a lot of fans around the world.
We went to Brussels,
Paris,
Paris, London,
Whoa.
and
How
Israel.
How big were these trips?
South-
How many
Chile,
kids were going to
Argentina?
Brussels?
We had 20, about 20 kids.
What?
Israel, L.A., Canada.
And they paid for it?
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, we paid a little bit, but like,
Usually you'd have to offset some of it.
but
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
but like most of it was like
A lot
covered.
of it was
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
covered.
shiny vests. Who paid for the shiny vests?
That was. I think Yerachmiel Begun's father designed many of the costumes for years.
And then his wife.
Designed.
His
and then-
wife wrote a lot of the lyrics to the English songs. They're like a duo. Also, I just have so much respect for songwriters. I'm sure we're going to talk about that, but just songwriters who I've worked with in the past, Hyla Newhouse.
Yeah.
Really, I have a great, just a lot of gratitude for being able to get my solo career started with her.
Awesome.
Why is it called
Yeah.
Miami Boys Choir? You guys were in Brooklyn, no?
They started in Miami,
Started in
in
Miami.
the 70s, and they never changed the name. He had already released a few albums.
I think there was already a New York Boys Choir at the time.
The
Or maybe-
Brooklyn Boys
Yeah.
Choir sounds
Maybe not.
sick.
Maybe not. I think
I just feel like
there is now a New York Boys
If
Choir.
people already knew the choir because they already had a few records at that point, they were vinyls.
Right.
They had a name, they had a brand. It's like,
It was known.
why would you change the brand name? It's a risk. If you already created the
Right.
name itself has so much significance.
Okay,
Right.
now we're post Miami. You mentioned Hyla Newhouse songwriting.
Yeah,
We're up to the first album. How
that
does
was the
that
weave.
go?
That was a good segue.
Because everyone's like,
the weave.
so many people were
I
in
like
the
that.
band, were in the choir, but then the solo career is it's a question.
They
How do you
Yeah.
transition into your own solo act?
Yeah, I started pursuing my solo career after I realized that I wanted to record something before my voice was going to change. And it also kind of just
What do you mean?
well,
I like that.
well, no, my voice. What I just wanted to record.
Like that's not something that I was thinking about ever. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my voice is gonna change.
so right.
It didn't really.
I thought. I mean, we thought about it because we knew it was going to happen. Yeah,
like they
that's
were
why I-
telling you in the choir, like your
Yeah.
voices are gonna change, and you're
Yeah,
out.
because when you're a little like
Right.
kid, like you're like still talking like this.
Right.
once you hit
And then one day
puberty,
it changes. Like, oh,
when you hit puberty, you're out of the Miami Boys Choir.
some people try to stay,
Stay. Yeah. I think
but
there's
most
some
people leave.
world records.
Also, it's-
Menachem Klein was in it till he was
Also,
17.
it's like when you're in high school and you're still Miami Boys Choir, like
It's very tough. There's some guys who
You
have
know,
been doing it now.
They're just faking
They
it, like
actually are-
pumping helium.
Well, they have a new group now called the Miami Teens, but
I was in that. I was.
Yeah.
I was. Was
were
it me
there.
and you, or
no,
it was me
it was
and
after
three other
my
guys? We
time.
were the first Miami Teens.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But like just to like you asked about, I never like decided I want to have a solo career. It kind of just like everything in life, it's all from Hashem. It kind of just happened. I was working with Chayil Newhouse on recording songs for an organization that made songs about the Parsha, songs about just teaching Jewish values to little kids. Kind of like for those who are listening that are from the Jewish community, Uncle Moishi, but a little bit higher level, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Moishi was a really big influence on
This is
me.
Rabbi
I have to
Moishi.
say. Yeah.
Uncle Dovid.
Yeah, but I worked. She had a bunch of original songs. Kylie Nuez had a bunch of original songs, and she approached me about working on releasing those songs to the general population, not just keeping it in the Jewish female population. So I recorded those songs. The album was a hit back in 2015.
What was the album?
It's called Miracles.
Miracles. The
I remember
Sold
when it came
really
out.
well. The orange cover one.
Is
I
that the
remember
Hanukkah song?
No, that's you're thinking of a different song.
Oh,
It's the
You're
first
an M.
album.
Yeah.
Miracles. Yeah.
Miracle. And that really did well and put my name out as a child soloist. And then I
Mm.
continued throughout high school because I loved it so much. And my love of performing and traveling and meeting different Jewish populations in Jewish areas and connecting with all different kinds of people.
What has
That's
been
for my-
the coolest like spot that you performed in?
I
Or-
loved going like a week before my wedding to the UK. That was chaotic. And I asked my father to come with me.
Chaotic. Sorry, I had to say that.
Yeah,
Where
I-
in the UK?
you had a concert there, or you just like?
two concerts. I
Oh,
did
wow.
one for a girls' high school called Hasmonean.
I saw that on your story. I
That
saw
was
that.
a highlight because I've never seen before.
They were
like,
so
hundreds
excited.
of people all singing every word to every one of my songs. It's just like, oh wow, I just work in a little recording booth and I put out my music. Does it get out there? Do people listen to it? Do people know it? Sometimes you don't know, and then you actually sing in front of people, and if they know it, it's mind-boggling. And then I did something in Manchester, and my father was there with me. It was a lot to process because when I got home, it was like the week before getting married.
Whoa.
So, but that was a highlight. And
Yeah. How has your music changed since that first album? Now we're fast forwarding a few years. How do you think?
Yeah. Well, I wrote one song on that album and I loved writing, and I'm like, I want to keep writing because I felt there's one thing to sing somebody else's song, and then there's another thing to write your own and then record your own. Automatically, I'm going to connect more to a song that I wrote. So, but I always like to hear what people, I have all sorts of people sending me songs in my email. I'll have random guys in yeshiva sending me songs that they wrote, and then I'll also have big songwriters that sometimes I'll collaborate with and try to write something together with them. But sometimes there's nothing just like writing my own song and connecting to it. I think that my music over the years has changed because I've listened, my taste in music has broadened from just listening to what I knew, which was mostly Miami Boys choir and songs like in that kind of realm, and expanding to R&B and pop. I think there's a lot of great music out there. Generally, I like to listen to mostly Jewish music, but I can appreciate an uplifting song from the, I guess, secular community also. I think it could be inspirational.
Who are your inspirations? Like when you're looking for like inspiration, who do you listen to kind of like figure out what kind of music you want to make?
I can find a lot of inspiration in. That's a good question.
Does it need to be uplifting?
No, it could be fun.
I think about your music as like it's happy music. It's like Pharrell, the Jewish Pharrell.
Jewish Pharrell.
I mean, that's interesting.
But when you were younger, people were calling you the Jewish Justin Bieber because Justin Bieber was big then, also a little bit. That's what I mean. That's just what I heard.
So the main change is you went from Justin Bieber to Pharrell.
I never heard that. Yeah,
I see the Pharrell now.
You see the Pharrell, right?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just thought about that right now, and I'm like,
that's a Pharrell.
There's no sad Pharrell music. Is there any like sad Pharrell
That's
song?
for sure something.
A lot of I don't have so many. I have a few sad songs. Nachamu Ami's. Well, that's again, it's like a song about being comforted.
That is the happiest sad song I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So one of the things about Jewish music, I feel, is that Jewish music, in order for it to be Jewish, when we're saying Jewish, we're saying like Orthodox Jewish music
Jewish
within
pop.
the themes of God, Torah, and like certain like Orthodox religious Jewish culture, customs, laws, and lifestyle.
It's in the message. It's not in the music. You can make a rap song. You can make something with a trap beat, and it could be, in my opinion, this is my opinion, a Jewish song.
No, well, and we've seen it, and it performs very well, and like it makes you think, because on the one hand, you're taking something that is a traditional idea, something that is packaged in a traditional way.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, that's crazy ASMR.
So it's something that's traditional. Jewish laws, customs, everything like that is very traditional. But is there a challenge in keeping it like upbeat, up to speed? Does making it like, for example, rap is a more recent art form, or I guess mode of music, somewhat recent in terms of history.
Yeah.
Does that come as a sacrifice to keeping it traditional? Like where have you thought about that?
I always think that Jewish music's been updating through the years. It's just a little bit behind, and recently it's been catching up, especially in the Hasidic community. And I want to give them so much credit, because you were asking me before who I look up to as an inspiration, and my music tastes change so quickly. So right now I'm in my Hasidic mode. So I'm just listening to stuff by, gosh, it'd be bad if I forgot all their names, right? But I'm just listening to anything by stuff
Yoeli and Shmili.
Shmili Younger, first of all.
Very racist, Osher.
But he's not wrong. That's all their names. Shmili Younger. I love listening to him.
I forgot Yoel also.
Barry Weber.
Levi Falkowitz.
Yeah, he's been doing great sessions with Thank You Hashem.
Do you sing with them? Have you ever sung
Thank You Hashem? I actually did a song called We Can't Thank You Enough.
Well, I was talking about Shmili Younger.
Have I sung with Shmili? Yeah. I sung with Shulam Lemmer, who's phenomenal.
Yes,
when was that?
Awesome.
He's just great.
When was it? When did you sing with him?
He was singing at a random event in Brooklyn, and I was downstairs at a different event, and I heard Shulam's voice upstairs, and it sounded like the recording, but I'm like, a little different. That's the thing with Perfect Pitch. You could tell it's like a little different. So I ran upstairs. I'm like, is it a recording or is it him? Oh, it's him. And at the tail end of the event, and mostly everybody had left, it was just Shulam singing for the last few guys that were there, and I jumped up on stage and sang with him. I did a not televised, like a Zoom concert with him once. Yeah, he's
during
great.
COVID?
What kind of place is this that it's like two concerts on top of each other?
It was just a big Simcha hall in Brooklyn.
That's wild.
It was actually like really close to where you grew up in Avenue P in Flatbush.
That's all. Yeah. That's right.
Doxed him.
I didn't dox him.
Don't look me up, please.
Nobody knows where that is.
Yeah.
Drake lives right here.
I told my parents to put a double lock on that. Yeah. On the door. What was your experience? What was it like when you heard that TikTok blew up? That Miami Boys Choir blew up on TikTok.
It was weird. It was weird.
It was weird for me too. Yeah.
Funny.
They were saying stuff about you too, right?
Yeah, I got some videos of like people who were like fangirling over like my solos back then, and I'm touched but a little weirded out. It was a nice little brief blip in time that like the general world population was saying nice things about the Jewish people, and then
we had a little sliver of time.
Right. It was, again, this is right before everything happened in Israel, and it was just like so nice. And then like, it's so funny. Half the people that are posting like things that were like pro Miami Boys Choir do not like Israel. So and they're all singing Yerushalayim. So I wonder if they even know what they're singing.
They don't know what they're saying, but it is such a crazy concept to see that
the whole world knew. And you see, I thought it was Mashiach, man. I thought it was happening.
Yeah.
Was it kind of like when people look at a picture of you when you're a kid and like, oh, you're so cute, and you're like, it's not like me right now. It's like you feel like a little awkwardness, you know?
Well, some people didn't realize how old those videos were.
I was spotted right when it was blowing up by people who were not Jewish walking in the street of Manhattan.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
I never thought that would happen. I'm always spotted.
Did they poke you with a
scene.
stick and ask you to sing a song?
No, but they wanted to take pictures, and I was blown away by that.
Yeah.
It's weird, but you know, it's cute.
Are you famous? Do you consider yourself famous?
I consider you so. You're
famous.
In the Jewish world, you're famous.
In the Jewish world, I'd say that also depending on the community that I'm in. But yeah, I mean, if I'm in a more generally, I'd say right-wing community. Let's say if I'm in Lakewood or Brooklyn, I'll be
right-wing religiously.
Right-wing religiously. Okay. Thank you. Not politically.
When you're at the RNC, everybody's like, yes, Dovid Pearlman.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if I'm out with my wife, like people may ask for pictures. I remember when I was dating, it was tough because this was not with my wife. I was dating somebody.
You told me this actually once in the car.
Yeah, I was in Teaneck walking down the street, and a bunch of girls drove past us and rolled down their window and just snapped a picture of us. And I'm like, what? Who does that?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say keeping all the clout chasers away.
Yeah. No.
Literally the paparazzi.
But Jewish fame is probably a little weird. Like, it's very like where you're at.
What do you mean?
It's very, if you're in Teaneck, people know you. But say you went to like Lakewood.
It's based on the location, right? Yeah.
Lakewood, it's more so. Like I said, Lakewood.
There's got to be like,
places
if they're too religious, they don't know you, and they're not religious enough.
Yeah,
they don't
if
know
I'm
who
in
you
Curious
are.
Y'all, they're not going to know who I am. But if I'm in a place that most of what they listen to is, again, 24/6, like great app, you know, and in Passaic where I live, certainly more people are listening to 24/6 than streaming on Spotify. You're going to know who I am, probably.
That's wild.
How many people do you think there are in the world that know Dovid Pearlman? Know you by face, know your name?
Know my name?
Total.
No. I'm
That'll be a couple 100,000.
Over under
at least
400,000.
I don't know. That maybe could be close to that.
It could be around. Yeah, it could be close to 400,000 people.
I feel like it's close to 1 million. Like,
I mean, some songs of mine, I guess you could like, collectively have over 1 million streams, but again, that could be the same person, you know, playing it. But
what about on YouTube? On YouTube, like how many views on those videos?
Right, some videos have a couple 100,000 views. Like it's nice, but
do you feel like there's any image that you have to keep up now? Now all these people know who you are.
You go to buy groceries, you're like, do I look like Dovid Pearlman?
Yeah, my wife always tells me like, you can't go outside in pajamas, Dovid. And very often I'll have my slippers on. I don't care. I genuinely try to greet everybody, and this isn't about keeping an image, just friendly and being patient. You know, if somebody asks you to take a picture, you know, there's no reason to say like, unless you're really, it's not a good time, but you have to be respectful. It's part of the thing. You should be grateful, honestly. Like, you know, people recognize you. They know your music. That's a blessing. That's not something that you know, there's been songs that I've worked on before for really hard and they didn't do well. And vice versa. Songs that I'm like, okay, it's fun. It's cute. I don't know if it's going to do great. And it did great. So if people know you for that, you know, it's a bracha. And you say, thank you, Hashem.
But is it the bracha from them? Because if a random person walks up to you, it's like, it's your time. They're asking you for your time.
Yeah, but
and they didn't necessarily give you your whole career.
No,
so now,
I
what do you owe them? And they're kind of taking your time. They chose
to listen to my songs. They connected. Somehow their soul, whatever part of it, connected to, it's a spiritual thing for me. They connected to my song. The least I could do is to say thank you I look at it as thanking them by giving them a little bit of time. I could put out music from here to tomorrow. If people don't like the person, or for whatever reason they don't like the music,
Has anyone ever come up to you or like either online or in person and say like they don't like your music or like they criticize you? Like
sure. And I used to take it not
besides
well.
your mom.
Besides my, well, no, hold on. My parents are critique because they really just want what's best, and and I don't take criticism as well as I could. I think that that's I could work on that. I end up taking the criticism and using it to make it better, but not before jumping. Just a knee-jerk reaction of like, no, what are you talking about? It's great.
It's like you get defensive. It's like, no.
Yeah. Because it's part of you. If you wrote the song and people don't like it, it's like, well, you don't like a part of me? Like, I wrote that.
Right. I wasn't sure to mention, I really hated your last song.
There's somebody came up to me and said, you're a lot nicer than I thought you'd be. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, like talking about blessings, I think you're blessed that you're like super kind, super patient, super positive.
Stop.
No. I'm not trying to toot your own horn. It's like
I am not good at sitting still.
You have
so I don't
one
know
of
what
the
you're talking
best
about.
attitudes like ever. Like
you too.
I've seen you on bad days, and your bad days are like the nicest.
Where have you seen my bad days?
I've seen
in Mivaseret.
Yeah.
What was I? You know what? Is it for this podcast?
No, it's probably not even a bad day. He's just so happy. You're just so happy, and like things have gone wrong in his day. I forget like the exact like days, but like
I mean, it's a mindset. I mean,
it's a very strong mindset.
If I'm not in a good place, I'm not going to be as. I mean, that's not true. If I'm in like a place, like a darker place, that's actually where some of my best writing comes from. Because and it's writing happy stuff usually to get me in a mood that's better. If I'm in a super happy place, I'll probably be also super inspired. If your emotions are strong, at least for me, that's where I'm in my method where I can write. But if it's like, I can have writer's block for months. I've had it for years. It's been bad.
You just call up Kyla, what's her name?
Newhouse. Yeah, I mean, that's why there's great songwriters out there. And sometimes you really connect to their stuff. I have to connect.
When the songwriters have writers.
Then we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
What do we do if all the songwriters have,
who are the favorite people? Who are some favorite people that you've worked with? I can't get those words out.
No, it's good. You mean like in general, I loved working, like I learn a lot from fellow producers. Oh, not fellow, I'm not a producer. From producers who I've worked with, like Donnie Gross, who...
I don't know who that is.
Donnie Gross is really great. He does a lot of work with Baruch Levine and Benny Friedman.
And the Kids Choir also. Who was it?
Which
put
one?
out a full album with
Shalshelis Jr. Yeah. So I did my second album was with him.
Were they competing with the Miami Boys Choir or no?
I don't think so. They're like a boys group. They're like 5 kids or 4 kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I really enjoyed working with him and seeing his workflow. I work with a producer now, Rafi Barides, who's just
he's great,
insanely talented. You know him?
Yeah.
He comps vocals on the.
I was in your music video.
You were. That's right.
I was coming back from a hike, and then I just see a bunch of guys in like matching sweatshirts doing a video.
That was in Mivaseret.
That was We Can't Thank You Enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me get in there. I was in there for maybe 1 second. This goes to show how famous you are in the Jewish community. I was in there for maybe half a second, like literally a frame, and I got multiple texts saying, I saw you in the video. And if you go to the video, you cannot find me. I'm there for half a frame.
That's wild.
I got in trouble for half a frame of a music video because there was a billboard of a couple like holding hands or something.
Whoa.
Somebody actually took the time out of their day to email me. Yeah.
Like, please take this down.
That's crazy. They took down.
I said, sure, I can go back in time and
it bothered
edit
them that much to write an email.
Again, that's like I said, when I was young, it was much younger when I got that email.
Is that the kind of criticism that you're like, I can't believe I put that out?
No, I think if somebody just generally, you just learn after you get older, like not everyone's going to like everything you do, and that's okay. It's you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for the people who need it.
Right.
The people who want to connect to something deeper.
What's a big goal that you have for your music?
I would love to build a studio and make it an all-inclusive, not just because I love singing and writing. If I ever get around to it, I'd love to learn to produce, and not just produce for myself, but for others. And then to have a place for music lessons, a place for where it's semi-therapeutic. People don't always know this, but I'm also in school for social work. Trying to get my master's in social work. I'm halfway done. And
You're in like 2 classes with my wife. Or were in 2 classes with my wife.
I think I was. I'm doing it on Zoom.
My wife.
It's great.
Sure.
I take classes out of my kitchen in Passaic. It's great. I think there's a lot of overlap between music and therapy, and I'd love to explore that more and help other people. especially people who need an outlet. There's a lot of people in the Jewish community, and I wonder about, also offering it for people not just in the Jewish community. All I know is Jewish music. So,
do you wish
yeah.
you could just have a career in music and that's your main thing?
I would say so, because it's my passion. And really for now, it is what I do. In terms of Parnassa, it is all I do, weddings and concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in school now for social work when I'm not, either preparing for a wedding, and there is preparation for that, or preparing for a concert or traveling somewhere. And the benefit of having masters in social work on Zoom is I could do it from wherever. So I can be doing my classes from, sometimes I'll go to Florida, I'll have a few gigs down there, and I'll just, it'll line up with my classes. So
it's fun. Singing at a wedding, like at this point, you've probably been, I would imagine in the first one, it was super emotional.
First one was,
and now it's just like,
another
wedding, another night.
So it's interesting that you say that.
How many weddings a week?
Again, it could be 1 week where there's nothing and one where there's 4 or 5. So you really don't know.
It's
and some, on average, you have like 1 or 2.
Gotta dry clean all those suits. You gotta have a rotation.
Yep.
Oh my God, I never even thought of that.
I have to dry clean very often. I do not know how to eat food. It lands up on my suit jacket every single time. I'm not sure. I must lean into like the buffet during the shmorg. I don't know why.
I'll get you a bib at the next wedding.
Thank
Don't worry.
you.
Oh wait, are you a shmorg buffet guy?
Yes.
Or more like a dinner guy?
I'm both. And that's the
No,
problem.
you have to pick one.
People want to know, did you gain weight after you got married because your wife cooks amazing? Yes, but also because
If you had to pick one, what would you do? What would you pick?
shmorg.
Yeah, easy.
I
You
think
should do a wedding food review channel. I think you'll be very
Should
successful.
you guys come with me on the next wedding and
You
just
just
rate
offend
the,
almost everybody you go to.
Yeah. I mean, it was, again, like you were saying, it's a good point. There was a point in my life where I was doing so many weddings that it was like little burnout, a little bit.
Mhm.
And my mother reminded me, you are privileged to be able to be misameach. It's a mitzvah, a chassan and kala. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. So anytime I'm feeling a little tired from the traveling, and this has worked like a charm, I connect so much deeper now to every wedding I do because of those words of advice she gave me.
Mm.
And it really is. It's a zechus because you tap into that simcha. To be able to do what I love, which is singing, and to be able to have a profession that is connected to simcha, I end up riding off that simcha the rest of the week.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
This is
incredible.
potentially the
Go
most
mom.
emotional part of someone's whole life.
Now
and
I
you're
cry.
doing
I
that.
cry a little bit at every
So,
chuppah.
really?
I tear up. It's so beautiful.
Do you connect to it more after yourself being married?
Yes, because I can see like me and my wife I'm going to give a shout out to Nechi, who is she is my rock. She really, really supports everything in my music career. And I owe it to her she keeps me going. And I was never more quickly inspired to write a song than when we got engaged. I wrote a song, Rabos Banos.
I heard it.
And that was from the words of Nesha Chayil. It was just like, boom, right away. I hit the studio. That never really happens. Songs like me are kind of like constipated in my head sometimes, for lack of better words. That just was right away.
What's your music laxative?
Ed Sheeran said that also.
What's your
to
music
that.
laxative? Did you just ask him that question?
That's a good question.
What is your music laxative?
3-day Yamim Tovim and Shabbosim.
Do you
because
do you like drink tea or like anything to like,
To soothe
help-
my voice
Yeah,
before a
yeah.
studio session? For sure. And before a concert, before a wedding. I have a steamer. I steam up.
Mm.
People think you got to
Do you
drink.
use a nebulizer like those kids that like?
Oh, if I have like an asthma attack, my sister has
Wait.
asthma. I don't.
No, I'm saying would
Like,
that help with your
What
voice?
is a steamer?
That's just water vapor. And it's not really.
Like a clothing steamer, like a handheld.
It's
How does it-
similar. It's like it's this little plastic round thing. You put your mouth and you go. You sound terrible when you do it, but it's like you're
But it
actually.
feels so good.
I
after.
am your father.
Yeah, I
That's
think
awesome.
it's necessary. Every singer who, if you're going into, you got to stretch.
Whoa.
It's a full body thing before you do a wedding. Like physically, you need to stretch. You also have to actually stretch your vocal cords. It's a muscle. You go.
Mhm.
Oh, up and down. It sounds.
Like the bird from Up.
Oh,
does-
that's a great
There's
reference.
somebody in the courtyard by my apartment that does that every morning. Maybe it's just
my
practicing
neighbor
singing.
knows when I'm on my way to a wedding. She's like, "Oh, I heard you again."
Do you think you're an annoying neighbor?
Yes. Yeah. My wife reminds me sometimes you can't do that. It's 11:30 at night.
What do you do at 11:30? Like,
If I'm back from a wedding, I warm down from a wedding. Also, the same way a runner runs down, they warm down after running.
right.
That's crazy.
You got to warm up. You got to warm down. My vocal teacher's great. She's great. She's the same one that a lot of other singers use. She's been very, very helpful.
That's awesome.
Was your wedding like super planned out? Did you know exactly what you wanted because you've been to so many?
Yeah, and it was actually probably better if I wasn't as planned. I was like standing under the chuppah, just way too like. I think I was able to snap out of it, but for the first few minutes, I'm like, are they gonna play it right? And I'm like, stop it. This is your chuppah. And I think, once I saw my wife, it was like, okay, now I'm zoned into the real magic of the moment.
That's awesome.
The big question everyone has for singing is it nature or nurture? Is it talent versus how much work you put in?
If you're not,
Obviously, you have perfect pitch, so it's a different story already. But how much nurture was there? How many hours did you put into it total?
I can't put a number to it. I want to say over 10,000 hours. That's like what's Malcolm Gladwell? Is that his name?
I don't think it's Malcolm.
I don't know. What's the name of the guy?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Everyone knows it from that. It's Dan and Shay and Justin Bieber, right?
Yeah.
I forgot what the
10,000
actual.
hours.
It's somebody. 10,000 hours.
You got to put it
that's
into
the song, but
master something.
there's this rule. Yeah.
And I definitely put in more than that. I mean, it's years. I've been doing it for 13, 14 years professionally.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if you're, I think if you're not tone deaf, you could benefit from vocal coaching. If someone's tone deaf, I don't know how to help them, but that's just because they don't tell the difference between certain notes.
Right.
It's a bit of both.
What does the practice look like though? Because I think at least that a lot of people don't realize how far away they are from being an amazing singer.
Oh gosh. You're saying
And they think it's just like, yeah, I could take a couple of lessons and I'd be good.
look at Ed
When
Sheeran.
you've been practicing
He took
for
a bunch of lessons.
15 years.
Yeah, but I only started vocal coaching seriously in the past year because I've been doing a lot more weddings in the past couple of years.
But you were also in a band. You were in the choir for
Yes,
those years.
but I didn't get formal training. That's the misconception. Tzvi, we didn't get formal training in Miami Boys Choir.
No, we did not.
You kind of just learn the songs, you learn the dances, and you sing.
He only picked guys for the choir who had talent already.
Yeah. Talent can be, you can learn. If you already have a decent enough voice, you can always perfect and work at it.
The only thing though that you probably learned and I definitely learned is just stage presence. Like how to like act, like
how to not look like you need to use the bathroom.
You could tell from the kids who were in the choir who was like a newbie and who was like a seasoned like who has been there for a couple of years.
That's crazy
They're like,
culture.
if they're like standing like this and like they're like they don't know like waiting for like their part or whatever versus like someone who has like a certain sense of like level of confidence and like
sometimes you have to really have that. But you could work on it.
Right.
And as a solo artist, you have to learn how to do it a little bit again. You look at people like Mordechai Shapiro. That guy is the most stage presence that I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's a nut.
I saw clips of both of you on TikTok, just from Miami Boys Choir. I never had so much fun in my life.
What do you
More
mean?
recently, I saw ones of you. Too.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
They're so good. I need to watch them again.
Were your parents at every concert?
No, yeah.
They went to a bunch.
No, go.
Were your parents at every concert?
You're asking both of us?
Both of you guys, yeah.
Oh,
mostly.
My dad came to a bunch. Both my parents came.
If you went to Argentina, were you just by yourself?
My dad came to Argentina as a chaperone. He came to Europe as a chaperone. The kids used to bully me for it.
What about you?
Abba,
No.
Abba.
I have family in London,
used to
so
say
when
that
I
a
went to
lot.
London, my family came, but that's it.
That's crazy.
Would they be watching at home?
Yeah,
Or like you come back
There is a
and
live
everyone's
stream
giving you high fives?
sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes there's a live stream, so my parents would like watch the live stream.
You're like a little kid performing on stages with like a lot of people without your parents. That's crazy.
Yeah, I tried to like. I don't know about you. And when you got to high school, did you like make it a big deal that you went to Miami Boys Choir, or you're like embarrassed by it? I was very embarrassed by it.
I wasn't embarrassed. I was focused on putting out my own music then already at that point. I was just putting out music, that I mostly had written by that point.
Mhm.
It was a part of who I was. I wasn't denying it. I was proud of it.
That's good. I have one more question. If you guys want to shoot one more before we go, because I know I want to.
Let's check if it's
kinda end on
recording.
time.
Is it recording still?
Yeah,
it's
we're good.
recording.
All right.
We'll leave that in.
Anxiety.
Wait, one more
Um,
question before this.
I have last question. Yeah.
Okay.
What is the most rewarding part about being a musician for you?
Hearing how other people connect to my if I've heard, and I've heard stories about people that have connected to my music on a personal level, and those messages when they send them, it's first of all super vulnerable of them to be sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
People who have been through And they'll sometimes share details, really just rough times in their life. I'm just going to keep it very
oversharing
for the podcast. I'm not going to say oversharing, but
you're like, dude, that's too much. Like,
I was like, wow, they're sharing that with me. They don't know who I am from a hole in the wall. They don't know who I am. They just know my songs. And yet they feel a connection to share with me because whatever it is, there is a spiritual connection between when an artist puts out a song and somebody listens to it, they feel a connection to that artist. And the Jewish community is pretty small. So people feel that they have a certain level of confidence to reach out to the artist and tell them, this song really helped me get through something. There was a soldier who was in the IDF who was injured from a terrorist attack, and he was not responsive for a long time. And I got a message that a particular song of mine called, written by Chaya Newhouse actually, Im Matem Mishamrim. It's a song about the Neiros of Shabbos and the coming of Mashiach. He reacted a bit to the song, whether his eyes fluttered or there was a bit of it became clear he liked the song, and they played it for him a lot. And just getting a message like that, it's like chills. Whoa, I just recorded the song in a little studio in Brooklyn. And
but what do you do with that? What do you do with that information, that like message?
I need to keep doing this. Hashem gave me something that is helping others. And it's easy to get caught up in the business side of things when it becomes your parnasa. And it can become a little like you feel sometimes like you're running on fumes and you want to slow down a bit. Baruch Hashem, I get out of those ruts real quickly because I'm very driven to keep creating, especially for, not just for my own avodas Hashem, because I feel like I can serve Hashem better when I am on a music high. It's one of the ways I connect to Hashem, but what it does for others, I feel like I have a responsibility to give to them and to make an impact like that. And I hope that I can continue, that Hashem continues to give me the ability to do so and to have success in it.
Amen.
Yeah, that's really all I could say about it.
That's awesome.
Were there any times when you just wanted to quit? There's too much? Or not really? Like you had that consistent motivation?
It's too big a part of who I am that I never wanted to quit. But there were times where I definitely questioned, can I do this? Will I be successful? And it's daunting because when it becomes a big part of your parnasa, it's easy to get a little bit worried sometimes if you have a quieter moment in the schedule. And it's easy to compare to other artists and say, wow, look how busy they are. Oh gosh, I wish I was busier. You have to get out of the mindset. Nothing like Emunah Bitachon will get you through that. Chovos Alvavos, I read it with my father. It's great. Having Emunah Bitachon got me through so much. And it's precisely when you stop worrying so much, at least in my life, that's when Hashem sends me jobs. That's when I start to get busy again. And whenever I worried, things just stayed the way they are. It's almost as if the mindset of think good and it'll be good, there's a Yiddish way to say it. I don't know how.
Tracht good, sin find good, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's Yiddish, yeah.
It really, Hashem really can he reads our thoughts, man.
Yeah. All right. Dovid, thanks so much for joining us today. I know you have a busy schedule. Had an awesome conversation, and I hope everyone at home gained something, learned something, or just had a good time listening. So thanks again for everyone listening. Dovid, you're a legend. Thanks so much again.
Peace out, everybody.
Shout out again to Nomad Works. Guys, pull up here for your co-working needs. And
Shout
thanks
out
again.
to Tzvi Simchon, our amazing host.
Thanks.
He's awesome.
Shout out to Asher Brooks.
And DJ. Warga.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
I want to just quickly say one last thing.
Gotcha.
If Hashem gives you something, anything, because everybody has an ability, and if they don't know what it is, they just need to do a little bit more deep searching. You got to use it. You got to use it, make an impact.
And with that,
you got to stay for the post-credit scenes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a post-credit thing.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Be well.
Have a
See
good
ya.
day.